I grew up believing I was an only child. No siblings. No cousins close to my age, just me and my parents. And honestly, I didn't mind. Mom always told me, "You were my whole world." Dad was quieter, but he worked hard. Always there for birthdays and school plays. Our family wasn't perfect, but it felt solid, unshakable. Until the day a stranger showed up at my college campus and called me his sister. It was during finals week. I was in the library, half asleep over a pile of notes, when someone tapped my shoulder. I looked up and saw this guy, maybe my age, maybe a little older, staring at me like he'd seen a ghost. He said, You're Emily, right?" I nodded, confused. Then he smiled nervously and said the words that would change everything. "I think I'm your brother." I laughed. "Yeah, okay. Who put you up to this?" But he didn't laugh back. He handed me a photo, an old, faded picture of a baby and a woman who looked exactly like my mom, only younger. I froze. The resemblance was undeniable. I whispered, "Where did you get this?" He said softly, "From my adoption records." My stomach flipped. I didn't know what to say. He told me his name was Evan. He'd been adopted when he was 2 years old, same town, same hospital where I was born. And then he said something that made my blood run cold. "My birth certificate lists my biological mother as Rebecca Collins. That's your mom's name, right?" Everything around me blurred. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I didn't know if I should scream, cry, or run. I told him there had to be a mistake. But deep down, a part of me already knew it wasn't. That night, I went home and asked Mom straight out, "Do I have a brother?" She froze. For a second, I thought she'd laugh it off, like she always did when I said something ridiculous. But she didn't. She sat down, hands shaking, and whispered, "Who told you that?" When I said Evan, she went pale. That's when the tears started. And then the truth came out. Truth she'd buried for nearly 2 decades. Before I was born, Mom had a son with a man she never married. She was young, scared, and broke. Her parents forced her to give the baby up for adoption. She never told Dad, never told anyone, not even me. When she married my father years later, she thought she could start over, build a new life, and leave the past behind. But the past has a way of finding you. For days, the house was silent. Mom tried to explain. She said she wanted to tell me once I was older, but she was terrified I'd hate her. I didn't hate her, but I couldn't look at her the same way. All those years, she said I was her only child. All the times she'd look sad for no reason during my birthdays. Now I knew why. The guilt had been eating her alive. A week later, Evan texted me again. He said he didn't want to cause problems, he just wanted to know his family. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to block him and pretend none of this was real. But another part wanted answers. So I met him again. This time, we sat at a coffee shop. He told me about his childhood, how he always felt like something was missing, how he'd looked for his birth mom for years. When he finally got access to his records, the pieces started to fit together. He showed me another photo of him as a baby, with the same stuffed bear I'd seen in one of Mom's old pictures. That's when I started to cry. It was real, all of it. Later that night, I told Dad everything. He was silent for a long time. Then he just said, "I wish she'd told me." The next day, Dad sat Emma down and told her to call Evan to stop hiding, to finally face it. So she did. They met in person a week later. I didn't go with her, but when she came back, her eyes were swollen from crying. She said, "He's a good man, better than I deserve." For the first time, she looked lighter, like she could finally breathe. Evan started coming around more often after that. At first, it was awkward, forced smiles, long silences, emotional tension. But then something changed. One day, I caught Emma laughing with him in the kitchen, the same way she used to laugh with me. It didn't feel like losing her love. It felt like sharing it. Months passed, and Evan became part of the family. He even helped me move apartments when I graduated. We'd joke about Mom's double life, but deep down, we both knew this wasn't a joke. It was a second chance for all of us. One night, he said something that stuck with me. Sometimes the lies we hate the most come from love. And he was right. I'll never forget the day I thought I lost my mom's honesty. But what I really found was my brother.